Welcome everybody, and thank you all for coming. My name is Johanna Heron. I'm the Global Connect Manager. I started with WUSATA in March, coming from Alaska as the state lead for Alaska. So I'm familiar with WUSATA and excited to be in this new role. As you all know, at WUSATA, our vision is to see agricultural businesses from the Western US flourishing in the global market. This year we have created some challenges, as we all know. We've seen a lot of activities canceled and postponed for our normal activities, and we have had to rethink how we offer our services. We're hopeful everything will get back to normal as soon as possible, but in the meantime, we've been excited to offer things like what we see today with this market overview. And let's At our core, WUSATA intends to continue connecting businesses to the global marketplace in a professional, superior, and innovative way. WUSATA is an independent nonprofit trade association with 40 years experience in global markets. We have a global network of resources made possible through two really strong partnerships. The first partnership is at the federal level with the Foreign Ag Service of USDA, with funding coming from the Market Access Program, which is authorized through the Federal Farm Bill. Our second primary partnership that you should know about is our 13 member states plus America Samoa. These member state partnerships are with the Departments of Agriculture in all of those states. I'm really excited. Today we have businesses represented that registered for this webinar representing 85% of the states. So only a couple are not, didn't register from 2 states, but everybody else had a business representing their state on this webinar. So that's exciting to see. For those of you who are new to WUSATA, you should know that we have a variety of services that when you use them together will maximize your success of entering and succeeding in global markets. Global Connect focuses on international trade activities that involve going to countries of interest, bringing buyers from those countries of interest to states to do activities, as well as participating in trade shows. We also have a fund match program that can offer 50% reimbursement on eligible activities, and then we have a variety of outreach and expert education programs. So working with those 3 in unison is going to maximize your success, especially for all the things that you can get out of our programs. I want you to keep an eye out for our virtual opportunities. So we have a China market overview coming up on Wednesday, June 3rd. We have one for Japan coming up on Wednesday, June 24th. And we have another after that, the Philippines. We haven't got the date determined on that yet, but it'll be coming up. After the market overviews, we have scheduled, we're going to plan to move into possibly 2 or 3 other virtual opportunities. We're still working out the details on them. I want to thank everybody for filling out the survey we sent out for the COVID impacts to your businesses. This is how we're getting information from you to learn what will help you the most. So we hope to offer things such as virtual trade mission opportunities, buyer to business meetings, and one-on-one business consultations with in-country representatives, such as the experts that we have presenting today. They're gonna actually, today you'll hear a little bit about that from FAF, which is exciting. Just a reminder, these webinars are recorded and posted on our website. If you missed the previous 2, the Mexico or Korea one, you can go and check those out on our website. This one will be posted there as well. With that, I am really excited to introduce FAF, Export Marketing. This is our 3rd market overview, and they are wonderful experts. I'm really honored to be able to introduce them. We're going to get to hear from 2 speakers today. The first speaker is Agnes Huding, a senior project manager. Agnes has a degree in international marketing and a passion for food and agriculture. She has worked in 4 continents and has tremendous knowledge and skills connecting suppliers and buyers. Our second speaker is Victor Pfaff, who is the owner and director, founding Pfaff in 1991. Victor has 12 years experience working on the Dutch and potato onion market board and 2 years for a large potato processing company. He has worldwide food ag export experience, and that is his core focus for now. Before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit of statistics with you from the survey that you all filled out. It's exciting to hear that 70% of the people that responded to that survey are interested in the Europe market. So that should be exciting for you to hear. 11 out of the 13 states responded as positive for the Europe market, which is 85% of the Western states. So that's really exciting as well. 10% said they had never exported, 23% are new to export, 66 are experienced. So you're dealing with quite a few that are very experienced in export. When we asked the question, what is the biggest impact to your business due to COVID-19? 78% said a shift in demand in their business. So that's really interesting. And that could mean either their product line or a shift in where their marketplace is. We didn't get specific on it. 14% had a positive financial impact, which is great, but that means 86% have seen a negative financial impact on their businesses. 20% said that they had an increased interest in international markets, and most of them said that their interest remained the same. Only a couple said that they had decreased interest in international markets due to financial troubles and staffing loss. So there's still plenty of interest from all of our participating states and businesses. So with that, I would like to hand it over to you guys.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Agnes Hutting. I work as consultant and project manager at WAF Export Marketing. Our managing director is Victor Pfaff, and together we will present this webinar today. Okay, there we go. Today I will start telling you a bit more about the European Union, and then I will tell you about the current COVID-19 situation. After this, Victor will tell you everything about the Brexit, trends, challenges and opportunities, and he will tell you more about market entry strategy. We will finish this webinar with Q&A, and you can ask your questions by the chat box. And after, at the end of the webinar, we will get back to you with the answers. If there are too many questions and we have no time left, don't worry, we will answer them later and WUSATA will send them to you. So let's start with the European Union. Europe has 51 countries in total, and 27 of those countries, they joined the European Union. Supposed to be 28, but earlier this year, the United Kingdom decided to leave the European Union. Am I still there? Yeah, okay, good. Since we all work from home, the connection sometimes is a little bit bad. That's why I asked. So the UK left the European Union, and that left us with 27 countries. Victor will tell more about Brexit later during this webinar. So the European Union is a very large market. We have about 500 million consumers, and we are the fourth largest export market for the United States after Mexico, Canada, and China. The European Union is an internal market and ensures the free movement of persons, goods, services, and capital. We have one customs zone. And what does that mean? That when your products enter the European Union, it can freely travel through all the European Union countries. The two largest harbors in Europe are Rotterdam in the Netherlands and Antwerp in Belgium. So most probably your product will enter the European Union either by Rotterdam or by Antwerp. But when your customer is in Poland, well, it's no problem. When once your product entered by one of those two harbors, it can freely travel all the way to Poland. So we have one customs zone with same trade rules, but there are so many differences between the countries. So we have social, political, and cultural structure which are different. We have different currencies, we have different languages. We have so many different supermarket chains and also many consumer habits, different consumer habits. And all countries have their own COVID-19 policy. Let's go to currencies. There are 9 currencies in the European Union. Most countries, they have the euro, but there's still 8 countries who have their own currency. Those 8 countries are Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Sweden. So not only do many countries have their own currencies, most countries also have their own language. Within the European Union, we have 25 languages. And it's very important to realize the country you want to export to, which language they speak. For example, very important for the labeling and for the packaging. Victor, he will tell more about labeling later during this presentation. So please be also aware that not everybody speaks English. Do you know which native language is mostly spoken in Europe? Ta-da-dam, it's German. So 60% of the people are native German speakers, but 51 of our people speak English. It's mainly the younger generation. You will find out that the elderly sometimes don't speak English, but overall, the younger generations speak English in European Union. So know when you're doing business that not everybody speaks English. So that's good to know before you start exporting to Europe. Like I told before, there are also many supermarket chains. There actually are no supermarket chains which cover all the European countries. Most of the supermarket chains are based in one country. We have some like Aldi. Aldi is from Germany, but you will also find Aldi in the Netherlands. You will find Aldi in Austria. So Aldi is one of the supermarket chains you will find in more European countries, but not in all. But most of the supermarket chains are based in one country, covering 1 or 2 countries. For example, Albert Heijn. Albert Heijn is from the Netherlands, but you will find it also in Belgium. Edeka is based in Germany.
We lost her. Agnes, are you still there? Shall I take over my part at the moment?
Yeah, we can just move to yours if you want, Victor, and then if she comes back, we can finish up with her last slides.
Right, but I don't know whether I can share the screen now.
I think you can actually. I think you can override hers by hitting share screen. Give it a try.
No, I cannot. While other participant is sharing.
Let me see if Christy can do it as the host.
I just fixed that. All panelists can now share while someone else is sharing.
You see my presentation?
Not yet.
You are share screen.
Okay, I just stopped. Agnes is sharing, but hang on just a second.
Stop sharing.
I'm trying. It's not going away though. Sorry, everyone. Give us just a few moments here. Technical difficulties.
In the meantime, I will tell a practical story about large differences of the European market. And that's a story about two countries, Germany and France. These countries are situated next to each other, they're neighboring countries. And it is about pre-fried frozen French fries. You all know them, McCain, Lamb Weston, Simplot, the big labels, and we have them also in Europe. What is the situation in Germany? In Germany, the shops, the supermarkets are in town. The supermarkets are smaller, and the German consumer is doing their shopping every day. So she buys a small 450 grams bag of pre-fried French fries, it's 1 pound. And the German consumer are not the best cookers. So at home, they don't have a deep fryer. So they fry their frozen French fries in the oven. So that's a market for the retail for 450 grams, 1 pound, ovenable French fries. And now we move to France. What's happening in France, neighboring country? There the hypermarkets are a little bit outside town, enormous big supermarkets. The French couples are champions in working together, otherwise they cannot pay their expensive apartments. So they do their shopping once a week, on the Saturday or in the evenings. You see the supermarkets, the trolleys are bigger. At home, the freezers are bigger. So when they buy frozen potato products, they buy 2.5 kilos. That's 5 pound bags. French consumers, we all know, are better in the kitchen. So there they have a deep fryer. So they buy deep fried French fries. So you see two countries next to each other, 2.5 kilos in the deep fryer and 450 grams in the oven. So big the difference is, and there are more of these examples, but you have to be aware about that before coming to the market.
Thank you. That was a really good example, Victor. That was useful. I think we got the technical difficulty fixed if you want to try and share again. But that was a really good visual I got out of that story. Thank you.
You got it?
Yes, it's perfect.
All right, there I go. We are halfway the presentation and it's about the European market. And I'm trying to inform the audience as good as possible about entering the European markets. If we talk about the European market, we have to talk about the Brexit several years ago. The Great Britain decided to go out of the European Union, and we had a lot of discussions. And this year, officially, by the end of January, they are officially out of the EU. And for this year, and maybe another year, we have to come to an agreement with Great Britain to see, but I cannot move to the next page. How?
You have to click on to the screen and then you can.
All right, okay. So it has to come to a good negotiation. That can be a soft Brexit. And a soft Brexit means that for us business people, nothing changed. The customs are still open. Our products can travel freely from what we call the continent to Great Britain and the other way around. Or we get a so-called hard Brexit, which I personally do not hope, because then you have two complete different markets. And when your product wants to leave, or other products, our products, want to leave the European Union and go to the United Kingdom, it has to pass customs with all the disadvantages and time that you are losing, maybe pay another import duties. So that's the exciting time at the moment. What will happen with Great Britain, soft Brexit, hard Brexit? If it comes to a hard Brexit, then you have to monitor this very well, because then over 5 years, I expect that there will be a custom zone between America and Great Britain, because yeah, your markets are related to each other. So let's monitor this market very well together, because it's a very important market for our products. Talking about the EU, the opportunities and challenges. Well, it's quite easy to export to the European Union if you compare it with exporting to China, to India. There is an import duty, of course, and before you come, you have to check your import duty very carefully based upon your HS code. And with your HS code, you can go to the website of the customs and you can see how much the import duties is. Can be 2%, can be up to 15%, but it's important to know before you come to Europe. It's a market with whom we are doing business already since the Middle Ages. We have the same type of eating, and we speak, a lot of people speak the English language. If you compare that with China, for example, makes it much easier. There are some trends, and especially over the last months, weeks, due to COVID, these trends have come up. Well, here you can read for yourself several things: home delivery, e-commerce, restaurants who deliver at home. These were upcoming new outlets for our products, but since there is the COVID, this has got an enormous boost. Everywhere you see the trucks and the small trucks driving and bring the products to the consumers. And I am sure that will stay also after the COVID situation, because we are climbing out of the lockdown at the moment. By the 1st of January and June, the restaurants will go open. In other countries, the restaurants are already open. We can travel a little bit more. So it will start step by step, but it will take time. And several of these things which were, well, seen during the COVID time will remain. Less food service, more retail. Well, opportunities. Here are opportunities for US products. Well, also here you can read for yourself, but we see over the years that we are working for the United States that these products, not only of course, but in general, have very good opportunities. Well, sweet potatoes is an enormous good example, because this market is growing enormously in Europe, and 50% of all the sweet potatoes that we consume in Europe are coming from America, North Carolina. You know that yourself. Well, seafood products, sweets, craft beer is booming, fruit, vegetables, a lot of opportunities. But there are some challenges. And the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges, is the labeling. There are some differences with labeling. First of all, Europe is 100% metric. Our buyers do not know what a pound is, an ounce, or Fahrenheit. They are polite and they will say, yes, I understand it, but they absolutely do not. I do a little bit because I work a lot for the States, but we are metric. So we talk in grams and we talk in Celsius. And also on your label, it has to be mentioned in the metric size. You can make a combination, 450 your pound with 485 grams. That is possible, but it's easier to make it round figures, like you see here on the peanut, 1,000 grams of peanut butter. Our declaration on the back of the labeling is always in 100 grams. So you cannot use the calories per serving, because we say in Europe, yeah, what is a serving? Some people will spread peanut butter that thick on their bread, some will use less. So it always is with 100 grams. Well, for the rest, you have to mention the allergic items and the country of origin, the ingredients. Also, when you have additives, you have to mention them with their number. They have an international number. And then the language. The language has to be, especially for retail, the language of the country you're aiming at. So if you're aiming on the French market, the buyer and also the law will insist that you have the French language on it. Well, then you can say, okay, I put a sticker over it. Yeah, it is it's possible by law, but you can imagine a retailer does not want to have too much stickers on his shelf. He wants to have a special product for his big country, France. So what can you do? Well, we have made some kind of experiences with putting several languages on your label. This is an example that you can read afterwards about specifications. But here you see an example of guacamole with 4 different languages. So you can make combination. If you make the combination, the Dutch language and the German language, you're covering 100 million consumers. But it's all depending on your plans. And that's where it's all about. Coming to Europe, you have to make decisions before you enter the market or before you take the plane to come to one of the big shows like the Seal show in October in Paris. Other things, GMO. By law, GMO, it's not 100%. GMO is not allowed. Some products, yes. Moreover, if you can export products including GMO, you have to declare it on the packaging on the back. And then when you have decorated on the packaging, the buyers will not appreciate it. And that has nothing to do with the discussion whether GMO is good or not, but we are not yet ready for GMO. So if you have a product with GMO, just don't come to Europe or change it. Same with the global gap. If we talk about fruit and vegetables, all farms, all productions have to be certified with global gap. If you come with meat, your plant has to be approved by the EU. For poultry, the same story. And in this way, all these certificates are working. But in general, it is not that difficult to do. Another challenge, the dollar to the euro. You can do business in Europe in dollars because the dollar is a well appreciated currency. But over the last 5 years, if you see the graphs, the dollar and the euro are going up and down. And I've made an example about a barbecue sauce bottle, which is costing X plant in America $5. Well, this barbecue sauce was costing in 2017 €4.31, and the same barbecue sauce 2 years later was $4.65, and that was only because of the change of the currency. Keep that in mind. At the moment, the dollar is quite strong, but keep that in mind before you come to Europe, because it has a big effect on general exports as well, and upon the price of your product in the shop. I'll come back later. I have made a whole overview of prices and margins, and then you will see it again. So, the market strategy, you have decided to come to Europe, but you need a good entry strategy. And this is based upon decisions that only you can make. We can advise you, WUSATA can advise you, other people can advise you, but at the end of the day, you must make your final decision. Market segmentations. The market is big, 500 million consumers, but we have food service. And keep that in mind, because food service in Europe is, you cannot compare that with food service in America. In America, food service is mainly big chains. We have also big chains like McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, of course, but the majority of our food service is privately owned. Somebody is owning 5, 6 restaurants in Paris, 25 restaurants, so it's much more fragmented, which means there are much more importers and buyers focusing on the food service market, so there are good opportunities. Or you'd say, I'll go for retail, and it has to do with the size of your packaging and the labeling. Private label is also such an item. About 30% of our market is filled with private label products. Do you want to do that or not? Make that decision and the way you are processing. So, a little bit about food service and retail. Well, food service, more buyers, easier access. Here you can work with a sticker on your product, because as long as the chef in the kitchen can read what he has to do with your barbecue sauce, I'm always saying, well, it's okay. There is less emotion like there is in the retail, where you have to come with a story and all these things, and maybe with promotion. And there are less certificates, and it is a more clear and open market, smaller than the retail market, which is a much bigger market. I think 65% of the European food and drink market is retail, and only 45% is food service. But it is a difficult market based upon the number of supermarkets per country. If you go to my country, the Netherlands, our office is in Amsterdam, well, we have about 4 large supermarket chains. And with these 4 large supermarket chains, with these 4 buyers, which are your category, they decide whether you're in or out. So when you're not in one of these 5 supermarkets, yeah, then you're not there. So it is a harder world. You need more emotion there. So there, shop activities, tastings, your packaging has to be 100% to be on the shelf, more investment. And there are more budget needed for promotion. But again, a decision you have to take depending on the type of product that you are willing to export. This is one of the most important things about exporting to Europe, because our supply chain is a little bit different and much shorter than the American supply chain. It starts with the producer or the producer group. Well, that's you, the audience at this webinar at the moment. You want to export to Europe, and you want to export to a retailer, let's say. But in 99% of the cases, you will never ever do direct business with a supermarket chain. Maybe when you have fruit and vegetables and fish, full container loads, that is an option. But the smaller items will not be imported by a European supermarket. It will always go via an importer. So you have to find importer and several importers to do your business with. They buy your products. They sell the product to the supermarket or to the food service. And that is all. So there are no agents who are working on a commission base, 2, 3, 4%. And we do not have the word distributor, because the distribution is done by the importer who brings the product to the depots of the retailer. Probably that is based upon the fact that each country is much smaller than your large market of America, where you have to distribute from the east to the west, the north and the south. So no distributors, no agents, the importer who takes the ownership of your products and he sells to the retailer or to the food service. So then there is the terms of payment situation. Something we can talk over for hours, but there are 2 things, and that has to do also with your terms of delivery. That's the next one, because you have to decide, what do I want as an exporter? Do I want that importers in Europe are coming to my place and pick the product up and pay upfront in advance? Or do I say, no, I see more opportunities in Europe, I would like to make more risks, and I go deeper into the market and I bring my product to the depot of the importer in Paris, Barcelona, Berlin, or wherever he is. And that has to do with the terms of delivery and the payment. Do I give my client 14 days time of payment, or does he have to pay in advance? And the deeper you go in the market, the more importers you can reach, far more, but more risk, more time involved, and it's all depending on your situation. Well, this is also something nice to study. The terms of delivery, this is also existing for your American market itself. Do I sell free on truck plant, or do I sell CIF Paris? And in between, there are many, many moments when the product ownership goes over from you to the importer or to the retailer, and you have to define these things very carefully. You can say, okay, I'll sell free on board a harbor, Houston, Or you say, I'll do free on board till Rotterdam harbor, but then you have to decide where. Is it on the quay, on the ship, on the truck, whatever it is. This is a very important one I like to discuss with you. This is an example. And again, I take the example of a bottle of barbecue sauce, peanut butter, but let's say barbecue sauce. Well, the price is, you see, $5 US. And I fill a full container load with 20,000 bottles of barbecue sauce. Well, the price of the full container is 100,000 US. Then I have to pay the freight to deliver the container to the harbor of Rotterdam. It's costing me 4,000, roughly, depending on what type of container it is. Is it a reefer to have chilled or frozen products, or is it just an ambient container, the time of the year? Yeah, but let's say 4,000. So the price delivered docks Rotterdam is 104. Over that 104, you pay the import duties. In most of the cases, it's the importer who does this for you, because he can do that much easier than you can do it from here. But here are the import duties paid. I take 10%, it's 114,400. Then the container is in the harbor, and in the harbor you have to move your container as quick as possible to the inland, because storage and time in the harbor is always too expensive. So you take a truck, or the importer takes a truck and brings it to Paris, $900 for the truck. Then the price delivered to the importers is 5.51. An importer takes 15 to 17.5, sometimes 20 when it is a specialty product, margin. And for this margin, he stores the product, he sells the product to his clients, and he does the logistics from his depot to the depot of the retailer of the supermarkets. 15 to 70.5% on average. A retailer in Europe takes, on average again, between 30 and 35% margin. So that you see, the end of the day, the price is 174,000 euros. Then there is VAT in Europe. With VAT, you have nothing to do. That's up to the importer again. But you have to be aware that VAT is differing from all countries. There is 26% in Hungary. There is 4% in Germany. Luxury products have a different VAT than commodities. So be aware about that. Because that's something to know before you come to Europe. And I can give you something nice, an idea, because nowadays, since 1 or 2 years, the large retailers in Europe have their whole assortment online, not for you, but for the consumer. And you see what they have on the shelf and what the prices is. And if you click, you can even come to the importer. It gives you such an enormous information about variety on the shelves, about difference in prices. And there you see, but these prices are always including VAT. It's not like in America. The price on the shelf is not the price you pay at the counter, because then tax is added. We add the tax at the shelf and we pay what you see. Keep that in mind. Study this and go to one of these sites. If you cannot find it, ask me and I'll show you where to find it. Documents required. Not so difficult. You need a CMR, that's a bill of lading, a certificate of origin, and depending on the type of product, you need health certificates. Well, nowadays, most of these documents, not the CMR, not the bill of lading, are going via internet, and that makes it much easier than when I was young, a long time ago. Because then if you have made a mistake in your certificate of health, you have to make a new one and send it by courier to the other country. Now you can send a new one within 5 minutes. So the whole paperwork is not so much complicated for Europe. It's a long story. I can make it much longer, but this is the time. And then you will have challenges. You are interested to come to Europe. You are joining one of the activities of WUSATA, for example, the seal show in Paris. You meet an importer. He is very enthusiastic. You like him. He likes you. He likes your price. He has tasted your product and so on. And then it starts. And then we often see, okay, then the importer says, okay, I want to have 2 pallets. Yep. But you want to export a full container load. but that is too much risk for the importer, and that in the beginning, well, you both have to invest in your relation, and that's the same with the terms of payment. In the beginning, I should say, okay, Mr. Importer, Mrs. Importer, you pay upfront to see whether you can pay, but step by step, this payment relation will grow, and it will move into a situation where you give him maybe a little bit more, 2 weeks. And don't be shocked if they ask you 150 days, especially in the south of Europe. Supermarkets are asking sometimes 150 days of payment time. Well, I think that is a little bit ridiculous. And like I said before, everything is depending on the type of product. If you export a full container load of seafood or vegetables, probably it's a letter of credit. That's easier and different. So this is the story, but the first container is always one of the challenges. And now I see that Agnes is back. Very well, you're in another room. And because this is the end of my part. I stop sharing.
So Agnes, did you have anything? Thank you for joining us again. Yay.
I'm very sorry for that. The line broke, and I run my brother's company is next door. So on my high heels, I run all the way to there. So now I'm somewhere else, but with a good connection. I'm so sorry for that.
That's okay. Is there anything left in your presentation that you'd like to touch on?
Well, I don't think Victor talked about the COVID-19 situation in the European Union.
Hardly. That we are climbing out the lockdown. That's all.
Okay. I will try to share my screen, and then I will. Yeah.
Not seeing it yet.
Oh, sorry for that. So what is it I'm doing wrong?
Did you click on share screen yet?
Yeah, oh yeah, I know. This is very embarrassing.
I can go to my screen, then
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah, then you have to go out of share screen.
Yeah. You can do it. I'm not in it. Yeah, if you can go to slide number 13.
Yeah, but then I have to go back now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
Just go to the left. Yeah.
Let's start with this one.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, once again, sorry for this. We are working from home for 2.5 months now, and yeah, this hasn't happened before, so everything is the first time. But I'm glad I'm online again, and I briefly will tell you something about the current COVID-19 situations in Europe. Like I mentioned before, there are differences between the countries, and also the difference between the COVID-19 policy between the countries. Sweden, for example, Sweden did not have a lockdown. The Swedish government trusted people to socially distance themselves. Schools, restaurants, and shops, they remained open. And this was quite a unique strategy. Most countries choose for a lockdown. For example, Italy. Italy has chosen for a full lockdown. Everything was closed. The shops were closed, the restaurants were closed, the schools were closed. The only shops which were open were the pharmacies and the supermarkets. And you were only allowed to leave your house for groceries. For any other reason, even to go to your work, you needed a permission. So that's quite a difference. In Sweden, you still can see people sitting on the terraces. And in Italy, there was no one. This is a picture of the Trevi Fountain in Rome. I've been there several times and it's always so crowded, but not during the COVID-19 weeks. There was just nobody. And here in the Netherlands, sorry, you're going too fast, Victor. But don't worry, here in the Netherlands, we are somewhere in between. Our government has chosen for an intelligent lockdown, which means that the government did advise us to stay home, but we were not forced to stay at home. We could go for a walk. We didn't need a permit to leave the house. Restaurants were closed, schools were closed, but the shops remained open. So we were somewhere in between. Things are getting better now in the Netherlands, and we're very, very happy with it. 2 weeks ago, the primary schools opened, and on the 1st of June, so next Monday, the restaurants and the terraces can open again. Of course, they have some restrictions, but yeah, we're opening up again. And not only the Netherlands, we can see that for most European countries. Yes, Victor, please. So when you look at the curve, you see that things are getting better, that the curve flattens. And all countries around the world have been working on flattening this curve, because that means less cases. And now the curve flattens, we are all planning our own exit strategy. So each country is having its own strategy, trying to exit this lockdown. And yeah, trying to go back to a kind of new normal. And it means that we want to restart the economy. And by restarting the economy, we still have to keep an eye on the virus, because we also need to keep the virus under control. And yeah, the new normal, that means an economy with restrictions, health safety protocol, and changed consumer habits. Victor? Thank you. So did COVID-19 have impact on the behavior of consumers? The Nielsen company has conducted a multi-country study, and they have asked people how things have changed for them. And the conclusion is that a lot of things have changed in our daily life. For example, 67% reduced out-of-home occasions. So 42% cooks more at home. And not only cooks more at home, also more food delivery and takeaway. 61% works from home, and 44% visits the supermarkets less often. And people also said that they prefer online shopping, or when they go to their supermarkets, they prefer to visit a large supermarket. A large supermarket because they can do one-stop shopping, and they feel more safe because large supermarkets are more spacious. So some of those changes, they will stay. Of course, not this high percentage, but for sure, it will have impact on in-home consumption also in the future. Yes, Victor? And the following table shows us that more people eat at home. And when you look at the light blue, that's the amount people eat more at home, and the darker blue is what stayed the same. And I'm not sure if I told you the difference between North and South Europe. I know I was still telling, but I didn't know that I was offline by then. I'm not sure if Victor told you the example between South and North Europe, but in North Europe, we eat more at home, and in South Europe, people eat more outside. And so you see, for Germany, the UK, and the Netherlands, we are used to eat at home. But for countries like Turkey, Italy, Portugal, and Spain, they are not used that much to eat at home all the time. So they really had to change their dining and their shopping behavior. So that's why you see with Turkey, Italy, Portugal, and Spain that they are more eating at home, because yeah, they cannot go to the restaurants what they used to. So they have also asked what they want to do in future, and many consumers in the study say that they intend to continue eating more at home. Please, Victor. And the study also shows us a change in shopping habits. Consumers are visiting supermarkets less often than before COVID-19, and they are more shopping online. And most countries show an increase in shopping online. One of the exceptions is Germany. because Germany has many hard discounters, and hard discounters offer little to no online shopping. So the Germans didn't have to change their shopping behavior that much. But like Poland, Italy, France, they have changed their shopping habit a lot. And now the question is, will this change stay? And the shoppers, the consumers in Poland, and Italy, and France, they said, most probably in the future, they also want to do more online shopping. And the thing is, before COVID-19, online grocery shopping was not very high in Europe. So, but this is gonna change. So the conclusion of this study is that people will stay, at the moment, eat more at home, of course, because of the closure of the restaurants, but they also intend in the future to eat more at home. And the other conclusion is that also the online sales will grow and will be more after COVID-19. Yes, Victor? So we have seen that more people eat at home, and we can see that the supermarket sales have grown during the COVID-19 weeks. This table shows the percentage of this year compared to last year, and all countries have a higher growth. When you look at the week 11 was just before the lockdown, and this was the week that people went to the supermarkets to buy a lot for in stock. And I don't know why, but for some reason in the Netherlands, everybody went to the supermarket to buy toilet paper. There was no toilet paper in any supermarkets. Yeah, and week 16, it shows a negative growth, but that has to do with the fact that in 2019, Easter was during week 16, and always during Easter, there's a lot of supermarket sale. So in an average, most countries have an average growth of 13% after 9 COVID-19 weeks. But now countries are opening again, that the lockdown is getting loose. Nielsen sees that the growth becomes lower, and we can turn to the next page. So, okay, we swapped some page, sorry. So, can we go to the forecast for the Netherlands, Victor? Can you go 2 pages back, I think? Yeah, oh, that one, perfect, thank you. I swapped them in my own presentation, sorry for that. So when we look at the Netherlands and the forecast for this year, if we look at the weeks before the COVID-19, we had a growth of 2.7%. When we look at the COVID-19 weeks, the weeks of the lockdowns, we had an average growth of 11%. And the end of the lockdown, the time we are in now, we expect a growth of 6.5%. In June, the growth will be lower, but in July and August, we see another growth of 7%. And that has to do with the fact that normally during July and August, we go on holiday, but probably not this year. Most of us will stay in our country, and that's why we will expect a growth for July and August. After summer, when we are in the new normal, we expect a growth of 3.7. And the forecast for 2020 is a total growth of 5.7. And the other European countries will be about the same, maybe a little bit more, but well, we think that other countries will have a growth in the supermarket sales. Yes?
That's your last one.
Yeah, okay. So, oh yeah, and then Victor already showed the one in the food service, because supermarkets see growth, and the growth is also because of the closure of the restaurants. And 2 pages before, maybe you saw a quick view of that one. The food service in the Netherlands, the food service, they serve the restaurants, and because they are closed, we see a big decline in the food service restaurants, food service sales. Yeah, now we can come to the conclusion. The expectation for this year and maybe for the coming years is that people will less eating out. So more cook at home. They also will work more at home, which also means that they won't use the caterer, take the canteen, won't go for lunch outside in a restaurant. There also will be more unemployed people, more home cooking. There will be fewer store visits, and there will be more online shopping. So at the end, we expect more people to eat at home, and more people to do online shopping. And supermarkets they will benefit not only for this year, but the expectation is that they also will benefit for the for long term. Okay, that's the part I should have done like half an hour ago. Once again, very sorry for that. And we are going to the Q&A, do the questions and answers. Before we go there, I will tell you a little bit more about the virtual consultation. Johanna already told a little bit about it at the beginning of the webinar. If you want to talk more about Europe, if you want some advice, WUSATA will set up virtual consultations, which means that you have the chance to talk with me, with Victor, or with one of our other consultants about your questions about Europe. You will have a one-to-one meeting with one of us for 25 minutes. And before we will ask you some questions so we know where you want to talk about so we can prepare ourselves. You can ask the questions during the one-to-one meeting, and afterwards we will send you a quick scan of 2 or 3 pages about where we have been talking about. So soon WUSATA will set up those meetings. So take your chance and hope to see you and to meet you at one of those one-to-one meetings. And we are looking forward to help you with your plans to export or expanding your export to the European Union. So thanks for listening, and sorry for me being away for like 20 minutes. Let's see for the Q&A to Victor. Okay. Victor, this question is for you.
All right.
When we normally give open credit terms to an importer, it might be net 45 days from shipment from the plant in the US. What realistic open terms do you normally see the importers in Europe demanding?
Yep, good question. In Europe, where there is not the transport over the ocean, and when you see the north and the south, very realistic is in Germany, in the Netherlands, 15 to 21 days. That's the maximum. Moving more to the south, they ask much more, like I said, even up to 150 days in terms of payment, which is not realistic because in that period you're doing several transactions, so the risk is much too high. All over the open account business, which is demanded a lot in Europe because we are a mature market. We are not used to pay in advance like people in the Eastern European countries are still doing sometimes. Yeah, it is a risk, and the more you go to the south, the more careful you have to be with your terms of payment. And I'm not saying that the people in the south are unreliable, because there are also people in the north who do not pay their bills, but it is a general rule to be careful. I personally advise always, when you do business with Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, do not open accounts ever and give them a short term of payment and some guarantee. But you all know, especially the experienced exporters, you can insure your sales. That is a good idea, but that's up to you. Letters of credit, that's fine, but that's only for the full containers. That's not working for the smaller products like the barbecue sauce or the peanut butter.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And one question is, will the presentation slides be sent to the participants? Christy, I think we can do that.
Yes, ma'am. I can certainly do that. I can convert the PowerPoint over to PDF, or you can this presentation that you gave here so that we can send it out to all the participants. We will also be posting the webinar on our website, as well as a couple of other areas, YouTube. If you have anyone that doesn't have a WUSATA account that's interested in learning more, there will be other places the webinar will be posted so they can access it as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm not sure if there's any question in the chat. No? Well, That's the only question I had, Victor. So your story must be very clear then.
We're always here to have more questions, or in the virtual consulting, or whenever there is a question, you know where to find us.
Okay. So,
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Agnes and Victor. Pleasure to have you on here, and you are a wealth of knowledge that we really appreciate. Again, we will be posting this webinar, so look for that. I will be sending an email out to the participants with that information, and I will send the slides at that time as well. Johanna, did you have anything else?
No, have a wonderful week, everyone.
All right, thank you so much.